Just a few months ago, the Chinese yuan was on the top. It was reigning supreme despite war and inflation.
And a boost for China, its currency surpassed the US dollar for the first time this week. It makes yuan the most traded foreign currency on Moscow exchange.
Russia and China have affirmed their determination to support each other's core interests in a further sign of strengthening an alliance that is looked upon with growing suspicion in the West.
According to a prominent Russian banker, there are strong indications that the Chinese yuan will eventually replace the US dollar as the world's primary reserve currency. The chairman of VTB Bank, Andrey Kostin, made this assertion during a recent Russian-Chinese business forum in Shanghai. He emphasized that China's ascending status as the world's second-largest economy, on track to become the first, provides a solid foundation for the yuan to assume a more significant role in global finance. Kostin highlighted the growing economic ties between Russia and China as evidence of the yuan's increasing prominence. Over 70% of trade between the two countries is already settled in yuan, alongside the Russian ruble. Furthermore, Russia's central bank has begun investing its reserves in yuan, signifying a shift in financial transactions and a growing confidence in the Chinese currency. The VTB Bank chairman also shed light on the long-established monetary and financial system that has enabled the United States and its Western allies to maintain hegemony. The US dollar and the euro currently account for 3/4 of global settlements, making the dollar the dominant reserve currency. However, Kostin argued that the collective West, particularly the United States, has weaponized the dollar, prompting other nations to seek alternatives. It is worth noting that Russia has faced significant economic challenges due to sanctions imposed by the United States. In February, the U.S. Treasury Department announced extensive sanctions against VTB Bank and Sberbank, the two largest banks in Russia. These actions have further fueled Russia's determination to reduce its reliance on the US dollar and explore alternative currencies. The strengthening economic ties between Russia and China, as well as their efforts to use national currencies in trade transactions, are part of a broader trend of de-dollarization. The Chinese yuan has already surpassed the US dollar as the most traded currency in Russia. And this trend is expected to continue as both countries aim to diminish their vulnerability to US economic policies. The weaponization of the US dollar has raised concerns among multiple countries, with a growing number advocating for the use of national currencies to reduce their dependence on the dollar. The BRICS economic bloc, consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has been actively pursuing de-dollarization efforts and has proposed the establishment of a common currency. Additionally, Southeast Asian nations have agreed to promote the use of their national currencies, and high-ranking officials from 9 Asian countries recently convened in Iran to discuss de-dollarization measures. However, despite the rising de-dollarization trend, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, does not foresee a rapid shift in U.S. reserves. The shift away from the US dollar is not limited to Russia and China alone. The Eurasian Economic Union, EU, a regional organization led by Russia, has substantially reduced its reliance on the dollar in trade settlements. According to Russia's Deputy Prime Minister, Alexei Overchuk, national currencies are now used in around 90% of intra-EU transactions. Overchuk acknowledged that the US dollar still plays a role, but stressed that the bloc would actively seek other currencies for mutual settlements should they face restrictions. This de-dollarization trend within the EU reflects a broader movement towards greater economic sovereignty and regional currency integration. The potential transition from the US dollar to the Chinese yuan as the world's reserve currency is a subject of intense speculation and debate. While some believe that the yuan's rise in China's economic power make it a viable contender, others caution that the US dollar's entrenched position, stability, and global acceptance present significant challenges to overcome. The transition would require a robust alternative currency that can match the dollar's qualities and gain widespread acceptance in international markets. The implications of such a shift would be far-reaching, impacting global financial systems, trade dynamics, and even the geopolitical landscape. As countries like Russia and China continue to strengthen their economic ties,